Your ticket to summer starts this bank holiday weekend at Kildare Village. All weekend there's music and we're giving away flights, European city breaks, tickets to the summer's hottest gigs and much more. Oh, and special offers on some of your favourite brands. Your ticket to summer. See KildareVillage.com for details.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
And we do say Good Morning America. It is feeling a lot like summer, huh?
Yes, it is.
Happy
Finally.
June. It is also the start of Pride Month. We've got a lot of coverage coming up in our second hour on that. And we have a lot to get to right here, right now, including the NHL playoffs, the Edmonton Oilers defeating the Dallas Stars overnight to take the lead in the conference finals.
Yes, love when you talk sports. Plus, the return of the zero-down mortgage. House sellers are hoping to perk up the market, and the warnings from financial experts about the potential risks for buyers facing higher interest rates.
But we do begin here with the ongoing reaction to former President Trump's criminal conviction in New York. Both Trump and President Biden speaking to reporters. ABC White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks joins us now with the very latest. Mary Alice, good morning.
Yeah, well, good morning. Yesterday, we saw President Trump absolutely raging about this case, airing grievances, attacking everyone involved. Republicans then piling on. All of it prompting President Biden to break his silence.
We're going to fight.
Promising to appeal his conviction, former President Donald Trump taking to the microphones to fume and rail about the case against him, calling it a scam.
It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that.
Trump convicted as charged on all 34 felony counts. The jury, selected by both the prosecution and the defense, buying the prosecution's argument that Trump illegally worked to falsify business records to conceal a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels and keep her story from voters before the 2016 election. Unapologetic and aggressive, Trump's remarks also rambling, at times hard to follow, including misleading claims about how the case unfolded and attacks against President Biden, the prosecuting team, and the judge, at one point calling him a devil and a tyrant.
This is a case where if they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone.
President Biden from the White House calling the attacks dangerous.
It's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years, and it literally is the cornerstone of America.
Biden saying Trump had every opportunity to defend himself and will have the opportunity to appeal.
It was heard by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans. Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity.
Now, overnight, 8 hardline Republican senators vowed retribution. They said that they will actively try to stall legislation that the president and Democrats have pitched in Congress as payback, guys, for this jury verdict.
Payback. Wow. A lot to see, a lot to follow on this story. All right, Mary Alice, thanks you so much. And we're going to turn now to our other major headline here. President Biden taking the unusual step of announcing what he said was an Israeli ceasefire proposal to end the war in Gaza. The final terms still need to be worked out, and Hamas has yet to agree. The president saying he's urged Israel to stand behind the deal.
It's time to begin this new stage, for the hostages to come home, for Israel to be secure, for the suffering to stop. It's time for this war to end, for the day after to begin. The people of Israel should know they can make this offer without any further risk to their own security because they've devastated Hamas.
And let's go ahead and bring in ABC's Britt Clennett, who joins us now from Tel Aviv. Good morning, Britt. Break this down for us. What's in this proposal?
Good morning, Gio. Yeah, the 3-part proposal would begin with a 6-week ceasefire in which the IDF would withdraw from the populated areas of Gaza. Now, that initial phase includes releasing some of the hostages, and at this stage, there will also be a surge of humanitarian assistance with 600 trucks a day. Now, the second phase calls for a complete withdrawal from Gaza. And the final stage, it will be the start of a major reconstruction plan in Gaza with U.S. and international help to rebuild homes and hospitals and schools. Now, earlier I spoke with a foreign policy advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Ophir Folk gave no indication that Israel is actually willing to permanently end fighting by the second phase, saying Israel must first destroy Hamas's military capabilities and only then will it agree to a full ceasefire. He said the notion that a permanent ceasefire will kick in without us destroying Hamas and freeing our hostages is a non-starter, saying that Israel would not settle for anything less than a total victory. Now, we also heard a statement from Hamas saying it views Biden's speech positively, that it agrees with a permanent ceasefire, saying that this is the result of Hamas's resistance efforts. Janae?
We will see what happens. Britt, thank you for that update. Back here at home now to the historic lawsuit in Texas. The state's highest court rejecting a challenge to the restrictive abortion law brought by more than 20 women, all of whom faced serious medical complications during their pregnancies. ABC's Jacqueline Lee is here now with the details from that. Jacqueline, good morning to you.
Hey, Janae, good morning. Look, this was a unanimous ruling, and it is worth noting all 9 justices are Republican. Now, critics of the ruling say it just does not offer enough clarity as to when abortions are allowed. This morning, a new legal blow to the Texas women challenging abortion bans across the state. The Texas Supreme Court issuing a unanimous decision Friday to uphold the current ban after a group of women filed a lawsuit last year claiming the law lacked clarity when it came to medical and emergency exceptions.
I cannot adequately put into words the trauma and despair that comes with waiting to either lose your own life, your child's, or both.
The lawsuit, led by plaintiff Amanda Zarowski, grew to include 2 doctors and 20 women who say they were denied abortions despite dangerous and potentially life-threatening pregnancy complications. Friday's decision saying Texas law permits a life-saving abortion. The justices stating the trial court overstepped by permitting abortions for any unsafe pregnancy, which the justices said would open the door to permit abortion to address any type of pregnancy risk. Several of the plaintiffs testifying in court last summer.
Our daughter was going to die after birth or before birth.
And recalling their ordeals to ABC News, like Kristen Anaya, who says she became septic after her water broke at 16 weeks, her fetus dying inside her.
The exact words were, "We have to prove to the ethics board and the medical board of this hospital that your life is in danger before we can intervene."
It's a hot-button issue all across the country, with 21 states that have successfully enacted restrictions or bans on abortion since the overturn of Roe v. Wade. The Center for Reproductive Rights, who filed the case on behalf of those Texas women, saying in a statement, the court dismissed the claims that patients have constitutional rights to their lives, their health, and their future fertility. And as for what's next, the lawsuit will continue through the state trial court system while the law remains in effect. Whit?
All right, Jacqueline, thank you. A retired 4-star admiral who was once the #2 officer in the U.S. Navy has been arrested on bribery charges. Admiral Robert Burke is accused of directing a lucrative government training contract to a private company that promised him a $500,000 annual salary plus stock options after retirement. Prosecutors say the bribery scheme happened over a 2-year period from 2020 to 2022 when Burke was the head of naval operations in Europe and Africa. Burke has not entered a plea. Gio?
Okay, Whit, now to the emotional end to the trial of Michelle Troconis. She's the woman convicted of helping her boyfriend kill his estranged wife and mother of 5, Jennifer Dulos. ABC's Morgan Norwood is here with more. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Gio. Michelle Troconis will spend the next 14 and a half years in prison. And before learning her fate, she faced each of Jennifer Dulos' 5 children. One by one, they confronted Troconis, explaining how her actions destroyed their lives. At one point, Troconis bursting into tears.
Michelle Troconis, the Connecticut woman convicted of helping her then-boyfriend murder his estranged wife, facing each of the couple's heartbroken children during her sentencing hearing.
The only time I can feel my mom's presence is through memories.
Christiane Dulos was 10 years old when her mother, Jennifer Dulos, was murdered. The now 15-year-old fighting back tears as she addresses the court.
Michelle Troconis to me is the reason I feel completely lost and alone on nights when I cannot sleep. She's the reason why I've blocked out my childhood.
At one point, Dulos' other son, Theodore, lashed out at Troconis.
I will never forgive you for what you have done, and until you give us more answers, you will be considered evil, violent, and most definitely a coward.
his scathing words causing her to break down in tears. After hours of victim impact statements, a plea for mercy from Troconis' own daughter.
I am begging you to listen. I need my mom in my life.
The judge later sentencing the 49-year-old to at least 14 years behind bars. Her attorney had argued for probation. Troconis tearfully addressing the court, but didn't directly apologize to the Doulos family or acknowledging Jennifer.
I am deeply saddened by this tragedy that has affected so many lives.
It was a case that caught national attention in May 2019 with what started out as a missing persons investigation when 50-year-old Jennifer Doulos disappeared shortly after dropping her kids off at school. But suspicion quickly narrowed on her estranged husband, Faris Doulos, who was in a relationship with Troconis at the time. He died by suicide shortly after they were charged with her death. Jennifer's remains have never been found, but she was declared legally dead last year. For her family, this sentence brings the closure they wanted, but does not return the mother they lost.
And prosecutors were pushing for 45 years in prison. They were saying they were expecting a more stringent sentence. Meanwhile, Troconis' defense says that they plan to appeal the judge's decision. So we'll see what happens there.
And all the while remembering that there are 5 children who don't have either of their parents. Thank you, Morgan. Well, we are learning more about just what caused a huge explosion that blew out the ground floor of an apartment building in Youngstown, Ohio, just days ago. And we're now seeing dramatic video. You see it right here of first responders at this scene just moments after the blast. ABC's Phil Lipoff is here with more of those harrowing first moments. Phil, good morning to you.
Janae, good morning. And that dramatic body cam video that you're talking about gives us some more insight this morning into just how chaotic the moments were after that blast. Also this morning, we now know people had just a matter of minutes to get out of that building before it exploded. This morning, we're learning more about what may have caused that deadly gas explosion at an Ohio building that killed 1 and injured at least 7 others. And this new video from an officer's body cam showing the moments immediately after the blast as first responders rush into the building. You can clearly hear the sound of gas hissing as firefighters try to rescue survivors.
My firefighters went floor by floor, clearing that building to ensure that no one else was in that building and no one else was hurt.
The NTSB launching an investigation, finding a crew clearing out old infrastructure in the basement cut a gas pipe, unaware that it was pressurized.
As the crew made 2 initial cuts into piping along the basement wall. When a third cut was made, the crew immediately realized that there was a problem and that gas had been released.
Workers telling the NTSB they pulled the fire alarm to get everyone out, and just 6 minutes later, the building exploded. The body of 27-year-old Akil Drake, who worked at the Chase Bank on the street level of the building, was recovered. 7 others taken to the hospital with injuries. Investigators now combing through security video from the bank and other physical evidence.
One of the things we wanted to determine was whether there was any sort of an ongoing leak or whether this was something, as is currently suspected, resulted from cutting this one pipe.
The NTSB says it has not been able to gain access to that building because they simply don't know if it's structurally safe. Once they get the okay from engineers, they'll be able to get back inside and continue to investigate. Whit.
All right, Phil Lipoff for us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. This morning, new concern about bird flu. The USDA announcing it will spend more than $800 million to protect livestock after a 3rd farm worker was diagnosed with the virus. ABC's Melissa Adon joins us now with details. Melissa, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. So these new federal resources are being deployed to combat the bird flu across the country. This as the CDC confirms a 3rd case of a human infected with bird flu. The USDA will now give more than $800 million in emergency funding. That's on top of the recent $1 billion they gave for testing and monitoring of wild birds, poultry farms, and livestock. Now, federal officials continuing to require cattle or their milk be tested before crossing state lines as they take precautions to protect their livestock from the virus. The USDA confirming 68 outbreaks in dairy cow herds in at least 9 states just these past several months. Now, as for this 3rd person with the bird flu, they are the 2nd dairy farm worker to catch the virus in Michigan, likely from an infected cow. But this is the first patient, the CDC says, that is experiencing respiratory symptoms like coughing. Now, they are on an antiviral treatment, recovering at home, and of course, Any spreading virus is a concern following the COVID-19 pandemic, but right now the risk to the general population really remains low, and there is no science to suggest that the virus is currently being transmitted from human to human or from properly cooked meat, chicken, eggs, or even pasteurized milk. So really those at the highest risk are farm workers with exposure to livestock. Gio?
All right, Melissa, an important story to watch for. Thank you so much. Let's go to space now. At least that's what Boeing is trying to do today, to send astronauts to the International Space Station aboard its Starliner spacecraft. It's a key moment for the long-delayed project as the aerospace giant tries to redeem its tarnished image. ABC's Faith Abube has the best seat in the house. She's at the Kennedy Space Center there in Cape Canaveral with more. Good morning, Faith.
Hey, good morning to you, Gio. Here we are again. The Boeing Starliner is on the launch pad. The flight crew ready for liftoff, but that critical question remains. Will this first crewed test mission actually get off the ground this afternoon as planned? It comes just weeks after the last launch attempt was derailed by a sticky valve. This morning, the Boeing Starliner spacecraft set to blast off on its first ever crewed mission after years of delays.
And liftoff. The rise of Starliner.
The historic mission, plagued by software glitches and fuel valves and parachute problems. The most recent launch attempt scrubbed last month, just 2 hours from liftoff due to a sticky valve. And now NASA and Boeing defending their decision to move forward with another launch attempt today, even with the helium leak in the service module of the spacecraft.
Had this occurred in flight, we would have had an unexplained anomaly coming home. We'd have built that same fault tree, so I'm very confident we would have caught this.
Astronaut Mike Fink will pilot the next Starliner mission if this test flight is a success.
Which is a fancy way to say, hey, let's test the thing and make sure that it meets all the requirements, and if it doesn't, let's go fix them.
The launch is a critical part of NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Boeing hoping the Starliner can be an alternative to the SpaceX Crew Dragon, which carries astronauts back and forth to the International Space Station. If today's mission goes well, the Starliner will be certified as part of that program. Commander Butch Wilmore and pilot Sunita Williams, both experienced astronauts and veteran Navy pilots, ready to launch the capsule into orbit.
We're absolutely confident in all aspects.
We don't expect things to go wrong, but we know that we are going to be fine because we have this backup capability.
And liftoff is scheduled for this afternoon at 12:25. If anything happens and they have to scrub it one more time, there will be another attempt tomorrow around lunchtime. But as of this moment, Boeing and all members of the team are saying all systems are a go. Guys.
All systems go. A lot to look forward to. Faith, thank you so much. You even got the wind blowing there at the end, that Beyonce wind. A great shot. Let's go to the weather now. It was so fun how you said, let's go to space. Let's go to the weather. Samara, take us to Denver.
All right, so we're going to have to wake up, rub our eyes, because what you're looking at right now, this is Denver, Colorado. That looks like snow. And normally we do see snow in Denver, Colorado. That is hail. Get out of here, right? So you can see the lightning flashing in the back. They had some thunderstorms, bringing them an exorbitant amount of hail on the ground. Heavy rain also going to be falling in the south today. In fact, good morning, Mobile to Pensacola. You all have a flood watch in effect because flash flooding is possible there. Now, a little farther west through this afternoon and evening, we're monitoring the threat for flash flooding. For severe weather. And that stretches all the way from North Platte down to Fort Stockton. The biggest threat is damaging winds and some hail, but we could see an isolated tornado farther north tomorrow. Same situation setting up, but I will say from Grand Forks to Omaha, be aware you could see some flash flooding tomorrow as well. That's a look at the forecast across the country. Let's see what's going on in your neighborhood. And that's a look at your local forecast. And guys, now we're going to talk about this a little later in the show, but do you know today starts hurricane season?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yay.
And meteorological summer, right?
Yes. 2 points of weather, Janae.
There you go. Janae with the trivia when there weren't any trivia questions.
Sounds jealous.
Maybe a little bit. All right, let's talk about hockey, shall we? All right, the Edmonton Oilers are now 1 win away from the Stanley Cup final. The Oilers are leading the best-of-7 Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Stars, 3-2 after Friday night's Game 5 victory. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins scored 2 quick power play goals, the first and second in the series. Game 6 is Sunday night in Edmonton. And the Florida Panthers are up 3-2 against the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final Series. Game 6 is tonight. You can watch all the action right here on ABC and ESPN Plus starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Janae was so excited she almost fell out of her chair.
Yeah.
My feet are really oiled up, so that these are not ashy. And I almost slipped. Thank you.
We averted disaster.
Thank you.
We averted disaster. All right, still ahead here on GMA, we are looking at what Donald Trump's criminal conviction could mean for the 2024 presidential race.
And J-Lo cancels her first North American tour in years. What we're learning about the decision overnight.
And tempting offers for home buyers as zero-down mortgages make a comeback. Financial experts, though, weigh in on the potential risks. Stay with us right here on GMA on a Saturday morning.
We've got the exclusive view behind the table. Every day, right after the show, while the topics are still hot, the ladies go deeper into the moments that make the view the view. The Views Behind the Table podcast. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Lainey Wilson, now streaming on Hulu. The story you haven't heard.
I experienced a lot of heartache. I'm a tough woman, but it's not easy.
Lainey Wilson.
It's taken me a really long time to even get to this moment.
And the CMA Award for Entertainer of the Year
goes to
Lainey Wilson.
Hey y'all, it's Lainey. I cannot wait for you to see my special streaming on Hulu. This has been a wild ride, and you'll get to ride alongside me on this journey.
Lainey Wilson, Bell Bottom Country, now streaming only on Hulu.
Welcome back to GMA on this Saturday morning. Jennifer Lopez stunning her fans, announcing she is canceling her summer concert tour. The singer saying she is completely heartsick and devastated. And coming up, Will Gans is going to join us. He's going to have more on what may have led to that sudden decision.
Yep, a lot of talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at that ahead. First, though, a look at some of the headlines that we're following on this Saturday morning. Happening right now, an Idaho jury will continue deliberating today on whether Chad Daybell will face the death penalty for killing his first wife and two of his second wife's children. The sentencing phase of Daybell's trial began just a day after he was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy charges. Lori Vallow Daybell was also convicted of the murder of her children and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Also right now, water was shut off for a large part of Atlanta while crews worked to repair multiple water main breaks. At least 3 breaks were reported Friday. Authorities say some customers are still without water while others may experience low water pressure.
And former First Lady Michelle Obama announcing that her mother, her beloved mother, Marion Robinson, has died. Robinson was a fixture in the Obama White House where she lived with the first family and helped care for her granddaughters. The Obamas saying she passed peacefully Friday morning. Marion Robinson was 86 years old, but just days ago for Mother's Day, she posted a photo with her, and they look so happy together.
So sending them lots of love this morning. Well, we do start this half hour with a closer look at the Donald Trump verdict this week. Joining us now, our Deputy Political Director, Avery Harper, and ABC White House correspondent, Mary Alice Parks. Ladies, it is great to have you both here in studio with us. Avery, let's start with you and the guilty verdict. Donald Trump's hush money trial, the first former U.S. president to become a felon. What has the reaction been from Trump's supporters to voters at large? The effect on his campaign? Are we still seeing the legal troubles lead to lots of campaign donations?
I mean, it is remarkable. We're going to see the Republican Party have a convicted felon atop its presidential ticket. We've seen prominent Republicans of all stripes rallying around the former president. And the evidence we have suggests that the masses of Trump supporters are going to stick by him, too. When we look at our last ABC News Ipsos poll, what we found is that 80% of Trump supporters say if he was convicted of a crime, if he was convicted of a felony, that he was going to, that they were going to stick by the former.
80% said
80%, the masses of Trump supporters. 16% said they were going to reconsider their support, and 4% said they were going to withdraw that support.
That's it.
Yes, that is it. But of course, in November, it is more than just Trump supporters that are going to head to the polls. So we've been talking to voters across the country, our teams, about this verdict. Some say that they are all in for former President Trump since the verdict. Some say they're unsure of what they're going to do now that he's been convicted of a felony, and others say that this has really disqualified him in their book. So in a race that was already going to be quite close, this has added another layer of uncertainty.
And Mary Alice, what about reaction from President Biden and his campaign now? Does he have to walk a fine line with this?
have to? I'm not sure.
Is he, though?
He is.
To a degree.
Absolutely. Look, the remarks yesterday from the president were measured, were pretty dispassionate. He focused on what he said was a need to respect the rule of law. He said that the attacks on the judges and the legal system were dangerous. The campaign took a more aggressive tone. It was out there calling the former president unhinged, desperate. But look, I've talked to a lot of Democrats that really kind of disagree here. Some think that they should lean in, that it is on them to make sure every single voter has to wrestle with the idea of voting for a now convicted felon, and that it's up to them to keep this in the news, that if they don't, maybe voters won't care if they don't tell them to care. Other Democrats I talk to say exactly the opposite. They are worried about leaning in too much, that strategically that could be a misstep. It could backfire. It could play into the former president's narrative that somehow this is all political. I think that all Democrats, though, will agree that they liked the split screen yesterday. You had former President Trump out there really venting, complaining. And you had President Biden, while he talked about it, he then went on to talk about working to negotiate a Middle East peace deal. He was doing the job. He looked like he was the president. Next week, he goes abroad for G7 meetings. Those are the images that the Democrats are going to like.
And like every campaign, there's money involved. And there's a lot of money that's happening here. We have Trump already capitalizing on this, right? Already fundraising for this. Could this also help boost Biden?
We'll see about that. The Trump campaign has long used these legal troubles to try and fuel their fundraising, and this verdict was really no different. Almost immediately after the verdict came down, we saw the Trump campaign start to send out appeals about this, and it appears it has paid off. The campaign says that it has raised more than $52 million in the 24 hours after the verdict. We saw the Biden campaign send out some appeals as well, some even acknowledging the fact that this was going to energize Trump supporters to give to that campaign. I don't think that the Biden campaign is expecting to have the same sort of boost. But of course, in November, Americans do not vote with fundraising dollars. They vote with ballots. And so we've seen both campaigns urging folks to remember that the real contest is in November.
And Mary Alice, we've only got a second left, but talk about the implications on the political calendar. Trump sentencing just 4 days before the Republican convention. I mean, it is startling.
I mean, absolutely remarkable. And look, I'm thinking about what we were talking about just before we came on the air. We just don't know the impact on the election yet. It is one thing to poll a hypothetical, and it is another for voters to read in black and white convicted felon, for the weight of that to sink in, for people to wrestle with it. And it's one thing for people who say that they just never thought these charges should have been brought to sort of rally support behind the former president. And we'll see whether Democrats do the same and rally support, sort of are jolted awake to support President Biden too. We'll see.
And also the impact on those handful of battleground states that could ultimately decide the election too. We just don't know yet what it will be. Thank you both, Avery Harper, Mary Alice Parks. We truly appreciate it as always. Let's get a check of the weather and go back to Samara Theodore. Good morning once again.
Good morning, Whit. So yes, today does mark the start of meteorological summer, and boy is it coming in hot. Las Vegas, Nevada, yesterday record high tied at 104 degrees. Look at what we're in for today. Now, Tuesday, out in California, an excessive heat watch will be issued from Redding down to Bakersfield, a little farther west on Wednesday, including Las Vegas, Kingman. Now, here you can see this heat dome building. The temperature is skyrocketing. 108 degrees on Wednesday in Vegas, 110 by Thursday, even up towards Boise, mid-90s by the end of the week. And it doesn't look like relief is coming anytime soon. This is the temperature outlook from June 6th to the 10th out west, much above normal. Meanwhile, much of the country in the middle, in the Midwest, out in the east, we are going to be cooler than normal. That's a look at the forecast across the country. Let's see what's going on in your neighborhood. And that's a look at your local forecast. Bring on the heat, right? You guys ready for this?
I'm ready.
Yes.
So ready.
Stay hydrated.
Except we live in the Northeast where you said it's going to be cooler than ever.
I was testing you.
See?
Hey, I'm
Weather
looking.
Janae.
Yeah.
Coming up here on Good Morning America, Jennifer Lopez cancels her summer concert tour. A look at what may have been behind the decision. Stick around. You're watching GMA. And welcome back to GMA and the news that Jennifer Lopez is canceling her tour this summer. The superstar is sending a message to her fans saying she's absolutely heartbroken. ABC's Will Gans is following it all. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Gio. In some ways, J-Lo is on top of the world, fresh off of hosting the Met Gala and starring in a hugely successful Netflix movie. But amid reports that she and husband Ben Affleck are living in separate places, J-Lo is now pulling the plug on her greatest hits tour.
She wants to dance. Just not this summer. Jennifer Lopez canceling her This Is Me Live tour, which she spoke about on GMA a few weeks ago.
Summertime tour, I know.
You obviously do not need sleep.
I do. I wish I could have had the summer off.
Live Nation saying the singer is, quote, taking time off to be with her children, family, and close friends.
I just want the deep little.
J-Lo quietly canceled several dates already amid poor ticket sales. And just this week, Ticketmaster showing hundreds of seats still available at remaining shows in cities like Tulsa, Philly, and even Los Angeles, with prices running as low as $32.
The album wasn't really received very well, and she hasn't been active in music for several years.
J-Lo recently announcing a new flavor for her line of cocktails, and her Netflix movie Atlas hit #1 in 55 countries.
My primary protocol is to keep you alive.
Same.
Music has seemed almost like an afterthought in the last few years, and all of a sudden she was doubling down on it.
Amid reports of marital issues with Affleck, J-Lo promising her relationship with her fans isn't going anywhere. Writing on her website, quote, I am completely heartsick and devastated about letting you down. I promise I will make it up to you and we will all be together again. I love you all so much.
I'm still Jenny from the block.
Well, it's safe to say that J-Lo will be financially fine after pulling the plug on this tour. Hundreds of others are suddenly out of a paycheck, from backup dancers to tour crew to arena staff. But only time will tell if the canceled tour might affect that rumored Las Vegas residency that J-Lo was reportedly set to announce for next year.
And that residency was very good last time.
Okay, so fingers crossed.
Yeah.
The J-Lo fans want to support their girl.
Yeah. All right. Well, still coming up here on Good Morning America, the no down payment mortgage is putting the dream of home ownership within reach for first-time buyers. So what you need to know before signing on the dotted line. Stick around.
We are back now on GMA with a look at the return of zero-down mortgages, appealing to first-time home buyers who may be struggling with that initial hefty down payment, especially in the face of higher interest rates. But financial experts warn you need to be aware of the risks. ABC's Alexis Christophorous is here with more on that. Alexis, good morning.
Good morning to you. Zero interest down payment loans may bring back bad memories of the subprime mortgage crisis that sparked the Great Recession of 2008. But this time, lenders say it's different, with stricter underwriting guidelines meant to protect the banks and consumers. This morning, a new option for prospective homebuyers struggling to find the money for a down payment. The lender United Wholesale Mortgage letting qualified buyers purchase a home without putting any money down. And with rising home prices and mortgage rates now back above 7%, it's grabbing lots of attention. Since launching the 0% down purchase plan 2 weeks ago, the lenders received over 2,000 loan applications.
The biggest obstacle to home ownership is the down payment, and this down payment assistance program solves that for most consumers across America.
To be eligible, you must not have owned a home for at least 3 years, meet certain income and credit score requirements, and use a mortgage broker. Qualified borrowers can receive $15,000 or up to 3% of the purchase price of a home, whichever is less. But experts say it's important to remember it's not a gift, but a second loan in addition to your mortgage.
It's not a freebie, in other words. You have to pay this money back.
If you refinance, sell the house, or pay off the mortgage, you must pay back the down payment loan in full.
This 0% down payment promotion could be golden handcuffs in a way if it either prevents you from refinancing or makes it more difficult and expensive to refinance.
That was not a deal breaker for Olivia Reindl.
I think I've spent most of my young adult life saving up for a house.
She recently closed on her first home after securing a $10,000 zero interest down payment loan.
I could look at more higher end homes that I may not have been able to afford with the 3% down. And also it allows me to kind of put that money back into the home.
Now, down payment assistance programs aren't new. Ask your bank and check with your state and local governments to see if they offer low or no interest loans or even grants to help with those down payments and closing costs, because we know that is one of the most challenging things when it comes to home ownership.
Absolutely. And we were just saying during the piece that it sounds too good to be true, but it does help some people. So.
Yes, eyes wide open. You got to go in eyes wide open.
Absolutely. All right, Alexis, thank you so much. And we'll be right back here with our play of the day.
We're back now with our play of the day, and it was a sporting day at the White House. The commander-in-chief welcoming the Kansas City Chiefs on the South Lawn to celebrate their Super Bowl win. And the team trading in their red and white uniforms for something more formal for the occasion. And they brought the president a helmet as a gift. He couldn't resist trying it on. I want to see this. Last year, they gave him a personalized team jersey. Okay, so now he is all suited up now that he's got the helmet. The Chiefs are the NFL's first repeat champs in 20 years. Yeah, hold on. Let's see.
We got to
take off the. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. Should have been a Niners helmet, just saying.
It's still got its feelings hurt.
There we go.
Look at that.
Watch that defeat in person.
Look at that. Kansas City Chiefs. Look how happy Travis Kelce is back there. All right.
Well, there you have it.
Big gulps, huh?
Just sorry, coming from a Niners fan, it's just like, just rub it in. Yeah. Why don't you? I thought the pain and heartache was all over.
But remember, you got to go to the Super Bowl.
I got to go. I got to watch
it was a long night, right?
In person.
And then they lost.
It was a long night. Congrats to the Chiefs. Coming up here on GMA in our second hour, the latest reaction to Donald Trump's conviction.
People who disappear without a trace.
Where is she?
The most notorious murder cases in New York.
Pure evil.
And the most devious killers.
There's a Hannibal Lecter feel to him.
For chilling true crime stories, follow the True Crime NYC podcast wherever you listen.
When it comes to winning elections, is it really the economy, stupid? Are soccer moms the quintessential swing voter? And does it matter which candidate you'd rather share a beer with? Every election cycle, cliches come easy. But are they right? In a new series on the 538 Politics podcast, we're taking a look back at conventional wisdom from past elections. Where did that wisdom come from? And does it hold up today? Find the Campaign Throwback series in the 538 Politics feed wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, America. It's our second hour. After the verdict, Donald Trump lashing out since becoming the first former president convicted of a crime, as President Biden responds to Trump's remarks, plus analysis on what this historic verdict could mean for the election.
A new study finding LGBTQ+ identifying people are at a higher risk of some cancers and later detection. How it could be due to fears of discrimination in medical care and the resources available. Dr. Sutton breaks it down.
It's intern season. How to turn your part-time work into a full-time offer. The simple ways to stand out. Plus, what to know if you're still looking.
We sat down with Scott Hoying of Pentatonics, the singer-songwriter teaming up with his husband Mark to write a children's book. How it was inspired by their own love story and the new song that ties it all together.
We are celebrating National Game Show Day.
You spin the wheel, please. Let's go, baby.
With a trivia quiz of our own, with some help from our favorite game show hosts. Which one of us will take the trophy?
And he's the breakout star of the Broadway smash hit, The Who's Tommy. Ali Louis Bourzgui joins us live as we say, Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Both of you guys are drumming along. Yeah. We are so excited to have a performance from the cast of The Who's Tommy. Critics saying it's an electrifying revival that blends surreal projections with sensational choreography.
And amazing music, too. The Who's iconic band. We had them on GMA performing a few days ago and talk much more about it today. Looking forward to that. Also coming up, it is National Game Show Day.
Wow.
And we're celebrating,
about this.
Yes, with some help of our favorite game show hosts.
All right, let's see how we do. Plus, we've got the top tips for new interns this summer and those starting a new job.
Oh.
Also ahead, President Biden revealing the offer that's been made to Hamas to try to get a ceasefire and get the hostages back home to Israel. But first, we do begin this hour with the ongoing reaction to former President Trump's criminal conviction in New York. Let's go back to ABC's Mary Alice Parks. Mary Alice, good morning.
Yeah, well, good morning. If there was any question that Trump might try to put this behind him, that is not what we saw yesterday. Instead, the former president was airing his grievances, railing against everyone involved in this case. Biden then also breaking his silence, calling Trump and Republicans' attacks on the legal system dangerous.
we're going to fight.
Promising to appeal his conviction, former President Donald Trump taking to the microphones to fume and rail about the case against him, calling it a scam.
It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that.
Trump convicted as charged on all 34 felony counts. The jury, selected by both the prosecution and the defense, buying the prosecution's argument that Trump illegally worked to falsify business records to conceal a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels and keep her story from voters before the 2016 election. Unapologetic and aggressive, Trump's remarks also rambling, at times hard to follow, including misleading claims about how the case unfolded and attacks against President Biden, the prosecuting team, and the judge, at one point calling him a devil and a tyrant.
This is a case where if they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone.
President Biden from the White House calling the attacks dangerous.
It's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years, and it literally is the cornerstone of America.
Biden saying Trump had every opportunity to defend himself and will have the opportunity to appeal.
It was heard by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans. Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity.
Now, last night, President Biden was asked about Trump's claim that he was somehow pulling all the strings from D.C. Guys, Biden brushed it off. He said, I didn't know I was that powerful. Sort of making a joke there.
All right, Mary Alice, thank you so much for your reporting there. And President Biden also took the unusual step of announcing what he said was an Israeli ceasefire proposal to end the war in Gaza. The final terms still need to be worked out, and Hamas has yet to agree. Let's go ahead and bring in ABC's Britt Clennett, who joins us now from Tel Aviv. Good morning, Britt.
Good morning, Gio. Yeah, Biden's proposal begins with a 6-week ceasefire that demands the IDF withdraw from the populated areas of Gaza. Now, during this initial phase, some of the hostages are to be released, priority likely given to women, the injured and elderly. And it's this first part that calls for a ramping up of humanitarian assistance with 600 trucks a day. The second phase leads to a permanent end of hostilities. And the final part is a major reconstruction plan for Gaza. Now, Hamas came out and said it views the proposal positively. Biden, though, in his speech acknowledged that negotiations between phases 1 and 2 would be difficult. Israel is very clear, though, that it must first destroy Hamas's military capabilities, and only then will it agree to a full ceasefire. And this morning, I sat down with foreign policy advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu of Folk. He gave no sign that Israel is actually willing to permanently end fighting in the first two phases, saying that Israel will not settle for anything less than a total victory. Now, the government advisor adding that the notion that a permanent ceasefire will kick in without us destroying Hamas and freeing our hostages is a non-starter. Janae?
Oh, we will see what comes next. Britt Clennett, thank you for that. Back here at home now, the Florida sheriff's deputy who fatally shot a black airman in his home last month has been fired. An investigation found that former deputy Eddie Duran used unreasonable deadly force. Duran fatally shot senior airman Roger Fortson on May 3rd after responding to a domestic violence call and being directed to Fortson's apartment. No criminal charges have been filed, but a Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigation is ongoing.
Coming up here in our GMA morning menu, we're talking about overcoming health disparities in the LGBTQ plus community.
Also ahead here, we sat down with Scott Hoying of Pentatonics and his husband to talk about their debut children's book.
And Tori Johnson is here with sensational steals for everyday solutions. Our favorite problem solver. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to GMA and our cover story now. A new study finds that LGBTQ plus identifying people are at a higher risk of some cancers, possibly due to fear of discrimination. ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton joins us now to break it all down. Good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Okay, so this is pretty surprising. Tell us about the study.
Well, this is the first ever report of its kind, focusing on cancer rates, reports, risk factors, specifically within the LGBTQ plus community. And the reason why that's been difficult is because it's been very, very hard hard to get that information from medical records. If you can assume, or you can think about trying to extract that information from multiple medical records to figure out what risk factors are focusing on or we should focus on, has been forever difficult. One of the most important numbers here is that 1 million people within the queer community are currently living with cancer. And we know that these disparities, 1 million, and we know that these disparities or worse outcomes exist. We're talking about delays in the diagnosis. We're talking about misdiagnosis, worse outcomes, also in certain cancers, an increased risk of recurrence. So in this report, they were able to identify some causes to that. One of them being behavioral factors. For example, there's a slightly but statistically significant increased risk of alcohol use and cigarette smoking, which of course is associated to an increased risk of cancer. But as what you alluded to, one of the big factors here is fear and experiences with discrimination. And it's warranted because there are currently 9 states that allow or make it legal to discriminate against people based off of their gender identity or their sexual orientation. So that fear is warranted, and it means we've got a tremendous amount of work to do.
So knowing that, how do people find providers they're comfortable with?
You know, I think first and foremost, understanding what are your options. Checking in, for example, with your insurers to figure out, some insurers have directories that can direct you toward allies. Of course, checking in with your friends, your family, because sometimes people have great recommendations. And then there's often wonderful organizations like the GLMA, the Gay and Lesbian Medical Association, that can help to find resources for you within your community.
And you and I know so many in our community are facing emotional stress, deep emotional stress.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to make sure to talk about the resources available.
Well, I think it's important to talk about resources for mental health. Within our community, there's higher rates of depression, higher rates of suicidality. So knowing about organizations like the Trevor Project, the LGBT National Helpline, and also the Trans Lifeline, these are great organizations that in many cases can provide 24/7 options so that you can at least have someone to talk to.
All right, Dr. Darian Sutton, as always, pleasure. Thank you so much. Whit, over to you.
All right, Gio, thanks so much. We are turning now to the graduates starting to enter the workforce. Many young people are taking on their first jobs or accepting internships. And joining us now with some tips and advice is author and speaker Laura Gassner-Otting. Laura, good morning to you. It's great to have you.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
So as people, graduate and they're out to enter the workforce, look for a full-time job, what's some advice that you have for folks, whether it's an internship or a job itself?
Well, I would say we're all really scared about that first job, but the good news is that the bar is actually super low. Show up on time, do your homework, do what you're going to say you're going to do, follow through. But really remember that the summer is a time to actually get to know the people around you. Like follow your boss to the office or join the summer softball league, go to the speaker series or do what I did in my first job and actually sign up for the blood drive next to your boss and you get 15 minutes of alone time.
Yeah, and I actually tell a lot of the interns that come here, part of it is about access, right? It's what you make of it once you get here. And speaking of that, too, if you're looking for a mentor or somebody who's more senior, who might have some helpful tips, how do you go about seeking out that person?
So here's the thing. I don't have time to mentor anybody. You don't have time to mentor anybody. But you know what we do have time for? Are mentoring moments. So what I tell young people or people on their first job is go find somebody, ask them a specific question, turn it into a mentoring moment, then follow up, follow through, tell them what you did, and then ask them another question later. And suddenly these mentoring moments turn into, oh, I didn't realize I'm your mentor. As an added bonus, it also gives you an opportunity to get lots of different advice from lots of different people about lots of different things.
I love that, too, because one question might lead to something else. And definitely, for those out there, I would recommend following up on that, right?
Always
like
follow
you said,
up.
hey, I tried what you suggested, and it went well. Oh, I have this other question to kind of keep that conversation going.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, a lot of graduates are still looking for internships now. What specific advice do you have for them?
So I would say if you've gotten through the school, graduate, and job moment where we think that's the only time it happens, I would say remember that there are 8 million jobs that are available out there. So September, October, January, and February are tons of hiring that actually happens in the world. It's a great opportunity to do informational interviews. You do an informational interview, and what do you learn? You get the lexicon of what's actually happening, how people are speaking, what the trends are. And then when an opportunity arises, someone actually thinks about you because you're in the deal flow in their mind.
And now if people are looking ahead beyond the internship and they're actually applying for a job, what are some of the specific things that they should be looking for in the description of that opportunity?
So we've all been told, like, there's one opportunity, there's one definition of success, the best job, the most prestigious job, the most money, et cetera. But I spent 20 years in recruiting, and what I learned is that success, the perfect job, isn't necessarily your dream job. So I would say make sure you're finding something that's interesting to you. We can't be insatiably hungry for someone else's goals, and nobody shows up, does their homework, does all these things that we're saying that they should do if they're not actually interested. So figure out what matters to you, how success is defined for you, and look for that kind of job instead of the one that a parent, a teacher, the internet told you was the perfect job.
Absolutely. And remember, it's the long game, right? You know, you're not going to get that perfect job right out of school. You have to build towards something ultimately, and that takes some time, right?
That's where your mentor can help.
Exactly. Laura, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And let's turn now to a check of the weather and go back to Samara. Good morning.
Good morning, Pensacola. It is not a beach day for you. We are gearing up for flooding. Flood watch in effect until 6 p.m. Not only Pensacola, but you drive on out to Mobile. We also have a threat for flash flooding as well. You can see farther west a chance for severe weather from North Platte to Fort Stockton, mainly damaging winds and large hail. Same the farther north you go, but we could see an isolated tornado and flash flooding up north. Now, big story on the heat. That begins on Tuesday from Redding, California down to Bakersfield. Excessive heat watch on Tuesday. By Wednesday, that hits Las Vegas. Look at these numbers, my friends. 110 degrees in Vegas by Thursday. Boise, 95 by Friday. That's a look at the forecast across the country. Let's see what's going on in your neighborhood.
Time now for Deals and Steals, and Tori Johnson is here with everyday solutions to make our lives easier. We can't thank you enough, Tori Johnson.
Okay, so we're starting with muck boots.
In the garden.
In the garden or any of your outdoor activities. This is a great, versatile, durable boot. We've got them for men and for women. 100% waterproof, extremely lightweight as well, which is fabulous. And then they've all have this neoprene collar here that's going to keep the dirt out, so that when you are doing gardening or any kind of outdoor activities in the dirt, these have you covered. We have you covered too, because they're 60% off plus free shipping from the Muck Boot
Love
Company.
how that sounds.
We do.
Okay, make reading easier.
Yes. So
make
this is like
bigger.
one of those products where you would, I hit a certain age and I'm like, okay, this is for me, because sometimes the print is simply too small. So Magna Pros is the ultimate magnifier. So you can either use it like this, or you can remove it from the stand. And then when you need to read that teeny print that is simply impossible to see on so many of my packages, you can see it. You can also travel it with you. If you need it specifically for a menu, you've got it for a menu. No matter what it is that you want to read. It's also great for crafting or for any kind of things with little fine details. So somebody told me that they use it even to thread a needle when they're doing crafting projects, because you just can't see some of those teeny spaces. 3 levels of light, anti-glare, just makes seeing easier on the eyes. No fatigue and eye strain. These are $15. Such a smart buy.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really
$15.
good one.
Good stuff.
Okay, another really good one. This is Rees, and these are right now some of the most popular bottles, and you use this to take your beauty products when you travel.
What?
Yes, so you can use it for, so I didn't put any beauty products in there, but I would tell you that you could put your face creams, your shampoos, your conditioners, all the products that you love that you don't get to travel with unless you just miraculously find that product in a travel size, which is really impossible sometimes. Spill-proof, leak-proof, airtight, so it's going to help keep the ingredients more stable. So a lot of just kind of the cheap ones that you buy, they don't allow the ingredients to stay effective.
It gets goopy, it doesn't really work.
Exactly. So they have these sets for us, one of the most popular travel accessories today. These are all 50% off. This set started at $22.50.
These are good.
So smart.
Yeah.
Okay, an easy upgrade in the kitchen to make it prettier and a little eco-conscious too. So this is Render Goods, and we've got a variety. These are just, they're so pretty, these tea towels. They also have this really great waffle weave construction that's going to help for absorbency, durability, great replacement for paper towels.
These
and then we
feel
also
really
have their
sturdy, too.
cloths that are great replacements for both sponges and paper towels. So I've got a little thing for you to demo.
What?
So you see this has nothing dripping, right? So take this and wring this into the bowl.
You guys ready?
See? Look how much water is in there. That's a lot lot of water. And it's impressive,
and it
right?
wasn't leaking anything.
It wasn't leaking
you know
at
how
all.
many kid spills this can clean up?
That can clean up, and then it's just reusable. And again, smart
Good
replacement
stuff.
to paper towels. Save money, great for the environment. These start at $6.
Save money, save the planet.
You got it. Okay, cuckoo, save the air.
Cuckoo,
so this
save
is
the air.
a really great way to help reduce kind of the daily struggles brought on by both asthma and allergies. Exactly. For just healthier air to breathe. So you'll see that there's 3 different sizes, and you want to choose based on the square footage of the room size, because sometimes if you buy one that is too small for the space,
You just
similar
don't feel
to an
it.
air conditioner, it just doesn't do its job. So if you choose all the details you'll find on the website to correspond with the room of your choice, these are all equipped with pure HEPA filters, so they're going to capture 99% of the air particles.
Super bulky.
They're not super bulky. They're very sleek looking. Neutralize smoke and odors as well, which for some people, smoke is a key consideration. These are all 50% off today, starting at $58.
Love that. And Gio said, have you tried Grandma's Stain
I know. I hear a lot of buzz about this in the studio,
Yes,
and
it
there's
works.
a good reason. 30,000 positive reviews, non-toxic, made in America formula. It's going to work on oil, grease, paint, coffee, you name it. If you've got a stain, you put it on there, agitate it a little, throw it in the washer, you're going to be good to go. You get 3 of these today for $9.
Beans, greens, tomatoes, you name it. Thank you so much, Tori. And we have partnered with all these companies. Find each deal on our website, goodmorningamerica.com. And still coming up here, we have some fun and games in store, celebrating National Game Show Day. Stick around. Watch me beat the guys here on GMA.
All right, who loves a road trip in the summertime, right?
Let's go.
Right? So for this Win the Weekend, a group of students who are winning millions of fans with their school project, 8 seniors from Milton Academy in Massachusetts are transforming a standard yellow school bus into a camper van as part of their senior project. They got right to work. They were removing seats. They painted it, remodeling the interior. There's even going to be bunk beds and a rooftop deck, the electrical. I even got to spend some time with these guys. Look, check me out. They gave me some power tools.
Oh, see, now you
see that? There we go. I went
They
through.
let you put in that little screw. Look how long
Yeah, a
it
little
took
screw.
you.
Yeah,
How long it took you.
actually, that screw was the wrong screw. I had to redo it.
Figures.
I know, exactly. That's the problem. So we just got word that their project passed.
Wow.
Yes, because they were worried about actually finishing it on time.
Oh.
So the project passed. They're going to go on their trip. They graduate next Friday. Congratulations, guys.
Great story.
Very cool.
Good morning, America. I'm Jessie Rosen, and my novel, The Heirloom, is about my own superstition that vintage engagement rings contain the karma from all the relationships in their past. My heroine becomes obsessed with this belief after receiving a vintage engagement ring, setting off on a mission to ensure it has forever energy. From Los Angeles through Florence, Rome, Lisbon, New York, and back, she uncovers the love stories of her ring, but more importantly, all the details of the heirlooms in her own family past.
Ooh, it sounds good.
Yeah. Welcome back to GMA. Jessie Rosen's The Heirloom is our GMA Buzz Pick, and it is available now. It sounds so great. Keep reading along with us on our Instagram at GMA Book Club.
Definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
First, let's take a look at some of the other big stories that we're following on this Saturday morning. This just in, Ticketmaster confirming it is investigating a data breach after a hacking group claimed responsibility for stealing the information of more than 500 million customers. The group is believed to have been behind the breach. A cybersecurity expert tells the New York Times that it doesn't appear consumer passwords have been compromised, but advisors Ticketmaster account users, they are supposed to go change their passwords.
And a new report shows that the cost of childcare in the U.S. is rising at nearly double the pace of overall inflation. The report by tax firm KPMG shows that between 1990 and April 2024, the cost of daycare and preschool rose 263%. During that same time frame, the government's key measure of inflation increased 133%. A report by the Federal Reserve found that parents in the U.S. pay an average of $800 per month for childcare.
That weighs on so many families. And gymnast Simone Biles taking a massive lead at U.S. Championships Friday night. The 27-year-old, she is eyeing a 3rd trip to the Olympics as she put herself in position to win a 9th national gymnastics title. She ended the night with the highest all-around score seen in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Simone Biles
She's
is just
incredible.
unbelievable.
Yep, the Olympics not too far away in
Yeah.
Paris. Looking
Man.
forward to it. All right, and we are back here celebrating National Game Show Day. I don't know why I did this, but it felt right. Oh, you're testing out the tool. So there's really only one way to mark the occasion, of course. So we are bringing in Samara to host our very own game show this morning. Samara, it's all yours.
All right, guys, let's get into this. So
Yeah.
we're testing your knowledge on famous game shows, and the winner gets this coveted trophy
Ooh,
and the
okay.
title of National Game Show Day champion. And the producers don't know this, but in my bag, I have $2,000 worth of pennies to give
What?
the winner.
What? And hot
All right.
sauce?
What is that? $28? All right. Rules are simple. Don't buzz in until all the options are given, Janae.
Yep,
And I'll
you gotta
call
wait till the
on
end.
whoever buzzes in first. Question number
Okay.
one, let's go. Our first question is brought to us by our friend Michael Strahan,
Great.
host of $100,000 Pyramid. Let's take a look.
Oh.
What was the original name of the Pyramid game show? The $10,000 Pyramid, the $25,000 Pyramid, the $50,000 Pyramid?
Gio.
I think A.
Yes!
Yes!
I'm rooting for you. We're all rooting for you.
There you go,
Question
Gio.
number two.
No, we're not.
All right, so the next question is from the contestant turned host of Jeopardy, Ken Jennings. Let's go ahead and see what he has to ask.
Which of the following was not a category on Jeopardy? A, also a Taylor Swift song. B, skincare from A to Z with Michael Strahan. Or C, reality shows with Kim Kardashian.
Which?
C, reality shows with Kim Kardashian.
That is correct.
You were just skipping me. You know I rung it first both times.
Nope, too slow, Janae.
The next question is from one of the hosts of Claim to Fame, Frankie Jonas. Let's go ahead and see what he has to ask.
What show was Vanna White a contestant on in 1980 before her Wheel of Fortune fame? Was it A, The Price is Right, B, The Newlywed Game, or C, Jeopardy?
I didn't see. Can you guys?
It was Janae. It was Janae.
Just like every other time, it was me.
No, not before. This one was.
All right,
B,
Janae, what's your
the
answer?
Newlywed Game.
Can I get it?
Loud and wrong answer. Oh, man.
Okay, the answer was The Price.
You guys got
is
both
Right.
your answers right.
And that was going to be my
wrong,
guess.
Give us another one. Give me another shot.
The guys at home, we play hometown trivia all the time, and
Yeah.
Jay always wins. This.
Always.
He said The Price is
yeah,
wrong.
Okay, so well, it seems. Let's do a tiebreaker.
Okay, great.
How about that?
Oh, I don't know.
Between me and Gio.
Yes, but the Newlywed Game premiered on what network in 1966?
It's obviously going to be ABC. Goodbye.
ABC.
All right, Whit, you are the winner.
No!
Gio, you are the second runner-up, and you are winner by proxy.
No.
I mean,
Can
she
see
got
the
that
show?
one right.
Yes.
Tell me I'm a loser.
Do you want the $2,000 worth of pennies? is the
I get
question.
a sure.
We'll take that. We'll take the money. We'll take the money.
I like how
He's ready for his close-up.
I like how it says.
He's ready for
winner.
the close-up.
There is no close.
Congratulations. Can I get everyone
The
on set?
smile
Round
on
of
his
applause
face.
for
It
Whit.
just says winner. It's winner. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Samara, thank you so much. That was fantastic for playing host. And you can tune in all summer on ABC for all the game shows premiering in the coming months. And we'll continue our love of game shows on Monday with an exclusive first look at Pat Sajak as he prepares to retire after 41 seasons of hosting Wheel of Fortune. Incredible.
That is absolutely incredible. He never cheated, unlike Samara, so this win will be null and void. And
Sore
still
loser.
coming up. Look at him posing.
It says winner.
We are talking to Scott Hoying of Pentatonics and his husband about their debut children's book. Stick around.
Hey, thought a voice note would be easier. So our summer trip, what's the plan? Do we hire a car there? How much is that? And who's minding the dog?
With Stenaline, booking your summer holiday doesn't need to be this whole big thing. Just drive on with everything you need packed in. With restaurants, bars, kids zones and pet-friendly cabins, the holiday starts on board.
What about the ferry? Bring our car over with Stenaline.
With 14 daily sailings, wherever you're going in Britain, enjoy getting there with Stenaline. Book now from only €165 car and driver one way at stenaline.ie.
Welcome back. June is Pride Month and Pentatonics. Scott Hoying is celebrating with his husband and new children's book, How Lucky Am I? Inspired by his own love story. Will Gans has the details. It is a sweet book, Will.
A very sweet book, Janae. Yeah, I've known Scott since we were kids, and now he and his husband Mark have written a book for kids that just didn't exist for us 25 years ago.
Only a book and accompanying song from Pentatonix's Scott Hoying can turn a quiet Barnes & Noble into this spellbinding performance. Scott and his husband Mark's real-life love story inspiring their new children's book, How Lucky Am I?, about two mayflies.
We were cooking together, and I accidentally trapped a fly in the freezer. And Mark, being the angel he is, he's always like this, was like, we must set it free. They don't live that long. He Googled, how long do flies live? And we saw that the mayfly lives 24 hours exactly. It's the shortest living creature on Earth.
The mayflies in the book spending their one precious 24-hour life together, exploring the world and falling in love.
The mayflies in question are based on the two of you.
Oh yeah, they have our little qualities of us, like the little hair. The blonde-haired one is me. Yes. There's one with a beauty mark right here.
Blue eyes, brown eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their wedding vows even woven into the story. Let's adventure side by side. We'll talk for hours, laugh and cry.
Your vows. Oh. I just remember the way you looked reading them, and I was so emotional.
Now, as their one-year anniversary approaches, the Hoyings hoping the book will encourage readers to practice gratitude for the beauty of each day and the people they love.
We grew up together. This type of book, this type of love story, didn't exist on the bookshelves. What would a book like this have meant to you, Scott, as a kid?
It would have meant everything to me. It's so important for a kid to be able to escape into a book or to see themselves in a book and know that they belong because there's stories about them. And we wanted to do that, especially with all the book bans happening. We want to put queer representation and create a safe space for kids.
What does pride mean to you?
I think it's celebrating the people you love. It's loving who you are. It's celebrating all the things that made you feel different when you were younger. I think that with our love story, we really want to showcase it to the world just to help inspire kids out there that make me feel like a little different or feel like I want to see a couple that looks like me out there in the world.
How Lucky Am I is available everywhere books are sold. There's also this cute section in the back that explains where same-sex couples show up throughout the animal kingdom. And it's a lovely reminder that whether it's Scott and Mark here in studio in New York, or penguins in the tundra, or cheetahs in the savannah, queer couples exist and are worthy of visibility and celebration.
That is a nice,
beautiful message that just 24 hours to live.
Yeah. Make the most of your one precious life.
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet. Okay, thank you for that, Will. And now back to Samara, our sweet, precious meteorologist, for another check of the weather.
Good morning, Janae. All right, so today marks the start of hurricane season, and NOAA is calling for an extraordinary season, potentially 25 named storms, potentially 7 major hurricanes, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're entering this La Nina phase, which is perfect for storms, and we have above average sea surface temperatures, which storms just feed off of. Here's a look at the list of names: Alberto all the way down to Nadine, Oscar all the way down to William. That's a look at the forecast across the country and the Atlantic. Let's go ahead and see what's going on a little closer to home.
All right, time to rock out, because we are here with a breakout star making his debut, his Broadway debut in the critically acclaimed Tony-nominated rock opera, The Who's Tommy, Ali Louis Bourzgui. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I mean, Broadway debut, it's pretty crazy.
It's insane.
Okay, so the show is based on The Who's 1969 rock opera album here about a boy and his dysfunctional family in post-World War II England. That's a lot. What did you know going in?
I knew the album. This is like one of the biggest rock concept albums of all time. Many people say that it started what the rock opera is. So I listened to the album like a bunch of times and didn't really know the musical, but when I came into it, got to really dive deep into like what this whole piece is. So.
And it's a really physically and emotionally demanding show, 8 times a week.
Yeah.
How do you even keep up the energy?
So you have to like kind of spend half of your life really giving a lot of your energy to the show, which is kind of a lovely thing. Like as an artist, I kind of enjoy giving that much of myself to it. But then, I find moments to work out, do some yoga. I try to eat as like healthy as possible. And I do sleep a lot. Oh, good. Except for mornings like these. Right, exactly. Like yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
It's all good. Gotta have that, because we saw you and the team, put on an amazing show in Times Square earlier in the week. So you need to have that energy, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
You got to meet Pete Townsend, co-founder of The Who, wrote this musical. What was that like?
Like a dream. I mean, he is to meet any writer of the piece that you're working on is like, I don't know, every actor wants to meet the writer, because to actually talk with the person who created the piece is incredible. But Pete also has this legacy and is like one of the biggest rock stars of all time. And as a music fan as well as a theater fan, to meet him was just so wonderful, and he's been nothing but supportive and given me all the answers that I've had, and we've been able to like discuss the character, the themes in the piece, and I got to see him perform live with The Who too in London, which was
that's so cool.
Amazing. So
what's the fan reaction been like so far? Because I mean, this is like, I mean, it's Broadway, but this is a rock and roll show.
Mm-hmm. I think it's cool because we have a combo of like your typical Broadway audiences, and then we'll also have like you know, these like rock dads with their like old band T-shirts coming to see the show, and maybe they've like never seen a Broadway show before, but this was the thing that kind of got them into seeing it. And it's just wonderful to meet everyone, because there's the people that love Tommy and love classic rock and feel like brought back to their youth, and then there's young kids who are like Broadway kids who are now being introduced to classic rock and are introduced to this whole new world, and are loving it equally. So.
Well, Whit loves that you said that, because he's not a regular dad, he's a rock dad.
Definitely,
and he would definitely be wearing that T-shirt.
If only I had any musical experience to have been in a band. But yeah, exactly.
I have a quick question before we're out of time, real quick. In the midst of performing this, like when the next time you perform, is there anything you're working on? What do you want to do better?
Oh yeah, in this specifically, I'm always just trying to, because you know you do it so many times. I'm always still trying to get that sense of discovery where like you're doing everything for the first time. So every single performance, I try to go in with an idea of like, this is brand new to me today, and this is brand new to everyone in the audience who's seeing this is probably seeing this for the first time. And so you don't want to ever make it feel like you're like it's stale or anything.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Ali, thank you so much. It is time to see you in action, though, with your co-star Allison Luff, who plays Tommy's mother. The two of you really work to break down your character's walls in this performance of Smash the Mirror, I'm Free. Take a look.
My call with even a nod or wink, but you gaze at your own reflection. You don't seem to see me, but I think you can see yourself. How can the mirror affect you? Can you hear me, or do I surmise that you fear me? Can't even my temper rise, 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 rise.
Tell you what it takes to feel the highest high. You laugh and say nothing's that simple, but you've been down this path before while I was waiting at the door. This place is sacred as a temple. I'm free. I'm free. And freedom takes
get more GMA in your day with GMA Live at 9, 11, and 1. And hey, thanks for hanging out with us on GMA.
Bye, guys.
See you then.